Hey everybody, welcome to Freemotion Fridays. I have a couple of designs that I thought I would share from my Triangle Splash class. I went ahead and I posted the links to those classes. Part 1 is actually making some different triangles and how you can put them together, how this equilateral triangle is constructed. And we're going to use one of those construction techniques to build this design right here. Let me show you what I've done just to start out with and get things set up. If you can hear me really well, can you just let me know? Looks like the picture is pretty good. And this way I can see if there's any comments as we go. So, all right. Hi, Priscilla. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Okay, so this is an equilateral triangle. And what that means is that this line and this line and this line, they should all be the same length. So whenever I'm finding the middle here of this triangle, we should be able to kind of get a look at what that triangle would look like if we split it into 4 sections. Okay, so what I've done is for this line, I did a straight line from the bottom right here. So I lined it up on the bottom and I made a mark right through the center of the triangle right there. Okay, and then I just made a straight line and I did that for each side. So if I connect these dots right here, let me show you what we should get. Let me make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing too. Hang on just a second, we'll come down just a little bit more. All right. Let's go ahead and mark the next line. Okay. And what I'm trying to do here is we're just working on some segmenting so that we can put different designs in here if we want to. Okay. So just like in the class where we built this and we used different triangles to make the larger triangle, an equilateral triangle will split into 4 segments. So one isosceles or one equilateral on the top, and then one on each leg, and this one in the center. So my plan for this, I'm going to echo this all the way around at a 1/2 inch. That's going to create a little frame, and I would use my straight ruler for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and stitch out this center section as well. So if we start, for example, in this spot, I can sew all the way around to this position and then do this inside unit. And then I can go ahead and start sewing at the triangle either direction, whichever way that I want to. And then when I finish, I can go from this corner over to here. So this one and this one. So this whole thing can be done as a continuous path. The one other thing that I would want to do is if we have the frame here and this is empty, then I'm going to put the frame here also. So let's go ahead and do that. That's going to be our task for today. You'll probably notice right away that it's free motion mixed with templates, right? If I'm going to sew a straight line, I really want a nice, pretty straight line. So the reason I marked those center intersections right here and all of this is because I wanted to know where this frame was going to be before I started marking these out. So I took the time to go ahead and do a little bit of marking so that I could get the reference lines that I wanted. And I do recommend that. You guys probably see quite a bit that I'm often marking things to get the look that I want to have. Okay, so let's get started. So right here with the ruler, I'm going to line it up right on the first reference line. And I'm going to use this as a guide because otherwise I have to guess down here. Now that I have that reference line already in place, I can use that as the stop point. I do have my glider on, thank goodness. I'm looking for this 1/4 inch right here, and that's going to let me align this right away. Now, I'm going to use good quilty practices today. I'm going to line this up and just go one more stitch, I think. make sure I'm touching. Notice that I'm not rotating my quilt sandwich. The bigger that the quilt sandwich is, the more challenging that it becomes if we try to rotate this. So, you know, this has got a good amount of body. It's not tiny. It's not a twin or anything like that. It's not even a lap, really. It's more of a rectangle, more like a wall hanging look. But I think that's kind of important for us to just keep in our mind when we're working, that we don't necessarily want to shift our positions, right? We just want to keep everything nice and even. So as I get over to this side, I can tell my seam is a little bit off. I'm just going to look for the 1/4 inch right there at the end. I'm looking for this amount of space so that I can align this the other direction. So let's just get everything smoothed out, make sure that nothing's tucked under. I can tell that I got a little bit of stuff folded under right here. I could feel it. So now everything's flat, just a little quick check, and then we'll get lined up. Okay, I'm holding in the front and in the back here. Let's shift this camera just a little so you can see better. I do always want pressure on the front of the ruler and the back of the ruler to give me the best amount of stability that I can have. So as I go, I'm just pulling everything straight towards me, and the angle's already set by the template. Okay, stop, reposition, and we'll come up to the top corner. Looking for that 1/4 inch. Okay, so right here, that's that extra space. Aligning to get right back down to that position. And I'll just scoot these threads out of the way. They're going to be stitched over. I don't like to cut threads when they're right underneath the ruler foot, just because I can't really see them. So just to connect this and ensure that that's all the way closed, I stitched a few stitches over, and then let's put this one in. I can use this center line right there on the reference, and I'm going to stitch right over to this intersection where the green is. So let me just show you. I'm not going to follow the purple lines. I'm going to make sure that I'm following this green reference right there. Even if it's a little bit off, it'll look better that I'm going to go straight from the green line to the green stitch line rather than try to follow this purple line. Okay, so just right there, stopping in the stitch line, shifting here. This is the width of the foot. If I'm on this back side, I need a 1/2 inch space because the needle is in the middle. If I do it on this side, then I can just line it up and get myself a 1/4 inch away right there. So that's what I'll do. I'm looking at that, and I've got my 1/4 inch spacer. Getting right to my green stitch line. And then we'll go back up to this top one. I'll just pivot it a little bit so that you can see where we're going, and I can too. All right, let's see, straight line. A little tricky to see, but I think we got it. Okay, so we're right in that position. You can see we've got the 3 triangles now. And if I wanted everything continuous, I could actually do a curved line in here, which would give this the set-off frame that would be unquilted. It would be like this. And I could start from this position and I could fill this center. But let's go ahead and fill these. I'm going to draw sort of what I'm planning in here. This already has a frame to set it apart so that the quilted spaces are not touching. Right here, I wouldn't want to butt it right up to heavy quilting because this is going to be more heavily quilted. And the reason to put a little frame in this space is the same reason. I want that same boundary so that this triangle right here is all by itself with a little frame. And so that's why I'll put a frame in that center position. I love my feathers, so my plan will be something like this. If we start on one side, let's see what I think would look best. So let's go ahead and we'll let's use this part as the spine, and we'll make these kind of stretch out a little bit. Coming back, and then this one will elongate a little bit. We don't want to travel up too far right here. We just want to come back into this spine a little bit low. We have to stretch these next few quite a bit further, right, to get these in. And I'll use my curly pattern, and then this one will fill. And maybe, I don't know, let's see, can we do something to fill that in? No, I think that would be too complicated. Let's just go backwards. Coming back, nice and smooth. These are going to get a little easier because they're shorter. And then here, we'll just add that one in. This will bring us right back to this next point. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking. If this, is kind of empty right there, there's only a very small amount of space. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to let that be. This tiny little bit of space won't matter. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go this way, curl out. This will be the spine, and we'll end right here, and then we can proceed along that line. Okay? All right, so let's go. I got everything up on my glider. My glider is polished. Everything's nice and smooth. So let's go. Notice how right here I'm going to creep along the spine a little bit to arc out. So I'm not just going to like stretch this way. I'm going to kind of curve out a little bit. And this is about visually 1/3 of this whole distance, give or take, right? It's not necessary to be so perfect. I'm just saying that those are things that you can kind of look for as you're working. Curl right back around, dip out and around. Nice and smooth. Stretch this one out. Curl here, fill this one in, maybe a little skinnier. And then this one, and then we'll just curve up to that next spot. Okay, so let's turn it a little bit just so you can see. Otherwise, we'll be having a hard time showing you what we want to show you. So I didn't turn it a lot, just enough so you can get that visual. So I'm just going to try to do the same thing. I'm making it somewhat the same. I'm not worried about if it's perfectly the same. Just I think this one will have a little bit better balance as far as that last one right here. You won't be quite so skinny because I planned a little better there. Okay, little curly one. Trying to follow the line right back out, and then the little hook, and then the bump to the corner. Okay, so let's do the next one. We'll do it actually this direction so you can kind of see as if we were going backwards. Curl. A little longer, not too stretched out. We need 2 in here, so we need to kind of make space for that last one. This one's a little skinny, but it'll be okay. Nice and big and stretching all the way back. This one reaching up for a little bit of a curl. Filling it in. And coming up to that top position. So one of the things I like about this is this definitely has a rotational motion the way that we sewed it. So each one is going a little different direction. Let's go ahead and we'll put, I think let's put something curvy in there. There's enough straight lines on there. Let me grab, let's see. Well, that's not going to be enough curve. I need something a little deeper. Hang on just a second. Let's see if this will fit. Oh, too deep. Let me grab my 6-inch arc and we'll put that one in. good to have different size arcs so that you can choose the depth of the curve that you want. This one is going to give us a little bit more than that 12-inch arc, but it won't be super deep, and it's not going to cross those marked in lines. What that means for us is that this will be a nice arc that isn't going to be too deep. It's not going to cross over these lines. So I'm going to try to get them just 1 or 2 stitches right in, and they should come right along that curvature right there. Perfect. Okay, good. Let me turn this just slightly so you can see again. So looking to get right to that corner, just like we said before. Let me see if we can see it a little better. Me too, right? I can't see very well. Camera's in my way. Okay, looking for my 1/4 inch right here as we come in. I think I'm going to come up 1 or 2 stitches on the existing curve right there, just to make sure I'm not going to cross over. I really don't want to. I want a nice, gentle curve where they're not overlapping. So I'm just going to control for that a little bit right there, get right into my corner, and just stitch up maybe 2 or 3 stitches so that these won't overlap right here in this section. So let me get you in a little closer. Maybe you can see better. Here, let's put some light on that too. Hi, Lori. Good, okay. And we'll show you on the back. I know it's always kind of messy this way, right? Whenever we show it like this, it's a little messy. So we'll put the last arc in. And again, I do want to come to the corner, but I may end up just skirting it right there. So this is a little narrower than 1/4, and we've already come up, so maybe we'll come up 1 more stitch, I think. That'll help us have that nice, perfect curve right there. Yeah, right there where it touches, that'll be good enough. Okay, so let's do something crazy. Let's just come back in here to this space. Might as well fill it while we're here, right? A little bit faster. Some little pebbles. A little tiny one right there. Traveling out on this line right here, bringing us over so we can get the next one in. We can put a partial. They don't all have to be full. Little one right there. Travel down a little bit. And a little tiny one right there. And I think we have a gap right there that we'll close. What do you think? Do you think this is too puffy? Should we put a little echo in there too? Let's do that. Okay, we want to be 1/4 inch away from that. So let's see if we can, we'll probably have to scoot down because we'll have to do it like this. Let's scoot down this way. So we'll come right on the straight line. This is free motion, right? Free motion travel. We'll put our same arc right there. Trying to get this side lined up. Okay, and then we'll just put it in. I think I'm going to like that better. I think that'll give a little bit more energy to that center. So let's just travel right on this outside arc. I'm looking for enough room here to put the ruler back on. Okay, and if you stitch too far, no big deal, just stitch back. I'm trying to get this kind of in the center just because that'll make sure that the arc is aligned the best way that it can. Okay, ooh, I'm liking it. Okay, so let's go over here. Same thing, we'll get to this outer triangle and travel right down it, looking for this 1/4 so we can put this on. Maybe 1 more stitch, I think. So I think a lot of times I hear people say things like, oh, I can't sew without my ruler, right? You know, free motion is not for me. But as you get better at rulering, I found that I got better at free motioning. So I think it's really encouraging if you can use both of them. Lori's question is, how do I keep the ruler from sliding? So these grips are actually really new. Can you see how bumpy they are? They're relatively new. And I'm activating the grips, right? When I'm positioning this, you can see my fingers should be, if not right on the grip, at least close by. That's pushing that rubberized grip down onto the fabric, which acts kind of like a glove, as if you had gloves on your hands. It's the ruler is now not only not slipping anymore, but it's also moving the fabric too. I'll give you an example. If I just have this on here, it's like, right? Nothing. If I put this on here, it's going to move my fabric as well as keeping the ruler in place. It's not just going to go. So definitely put these on. I think these are invaluable, and always try to position them in a way where they're practical. I mean, if I'm holding right there and there's no grip, that's useless. It's not doing anything. So make sure that when you position the grips, they're underneath your fingers. Hi, Lori. Yes, I am using my Janome 9450. It is a Janome. So I'm using the ruler work application for that. So let's go ahead and we'll tack this off because we're done here, right? We finished this one. Love it. It's looking awesome. So what do you think? Is that kind of fun? Now, somebody was asking me on the class the other day, well, what about all the places where you have all the patchwork? The patchwork kind of has its own thing going on, and the reason I put those empty triangles in there is so that I can make the quilting show more. If I'm going to work on something like this, you know, I think it would be good to put a little same arc. We can use this kind of same idea here, and we'll put it on here, but just single. This is going to be ditched right here. And so this will be like a diamond. This whole colored section will be like a diamond. Well, if I'm working on this purple one right here, there's hardly any room right here. I'm going to ditch this, so this green area will pop up. And then I would put a little echo around it to create a little frame, only a 1/4 inch because this is very narrow, and a 1/4 inch right here on this. So that straight line, that's not anything fancy. But what it does is it preserves this shape, the purple triangle, which I think is a key highlight of this section right there. So that'll also make it so that if we quilt stuff, there'll be a little frame around this so it won't butt right into these guys. They'll have a little breathing space. And then if this is just straight lines, what I would do with the pink is I'll put a fill, like a linear fill in the pink, and then straight lines in the green, and then a fill here, and then this will be that echo. So I'm going to try to work on alternating straight or spaced empty areas with filled areas. So we said that the pink, we can have a fill in there. So let's put a fill in there because we already know that that's what we're going to do. And we're using a lot of circles, a lot of feathers, and a lot of curvy lines in this quilt. That's just what I decided was going to be the focal, because there's a lot going on. We don't need a lot of complicated designs, right? So let's say if this is the center, I guess I should measure it. we kind of need some lines, right? We want some straight lines. All right, let's mark the center there. Oh, I need a bigger line so that I can line things up. I'm going to use the center of the diamonds as the reference, and then right here, I'll just kind of mark this through the center just so I have some visuals. I don't really need it on the purple, but I do need it on this pink and this blue. What color thread? Okay, so I'm gonna pull it up. It's kind of a very, very light teal green color. This isn't the exact color, but this is a close approximation. This is a silk bobbin that I have close by, and the color is very, very similar, right? So I'm using 40 weight poly. This is silk thread, but the thread that I'm using to quilt with, this one, is a 40 weight polyester, and it's isocord. It's very neutral. It's kind of picking up this color right here in a very light way. And what that means is that it's not shoved in your face on the white. It's subtle, but the quilting shows. It's not white. So that was my goal, is to really make sure that those had a lot of visibility. So on this pink, you're probably going to be able to see quite a bit. Can I zoom out a little? Yes, I can. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Let's come out just a little bit more too, so we can see a little bit more. How's that? Is that better? You can see the diamond? So we already said we're just going to straight line this, and this video with this quilting is already out there. I put a link to it, and this is going to be mirror imaged on this side. So this is going to be a little sort of a cupping frame from the white on this side. These two will be the same but mirror image. This is using the back-to-back 3-2. I'll just put a little note on it, 3-2. Okay, this is the same one that's in the Fun and Fancy set if you're interested in that. Okay, so we'll mirror that on this side. This is going to be an echo on the outside, and the whole diamond will be ditched all the way around. So this will be stitched right here, and then the echo, and then an echo on the outside of the green, and then the green itself will be ditched. So straight line, echo, echo, ditch, and then this will be left puffy. And because these lines will be so close together, this purple will have a little recession with a little line sticking out. Okay, now this one, if we have this center and we're kind of trying to emphasize our triangle, I think that this might be fun to do something like this. Okay, and then we can just go like this, because we said curls. I've already got quite a few circles in there, and this will kind of be reminiscent of a heart. And the reason I'm doing it from the center is because it's got these weird edges that's not even really like a triangle edge, it's a crop edge. So what will happen here is that this will just try to put one last arc in there, and if it doesn't work out, who cares, right? So little curl right there, and then like that. So we'll just reach and we'll do this each time. And we'll be using that foot as the spacer, and then whatever happens on the end, I don't care. Maybe we'll just stop it once we get close. I'll try to make this one stretch to fill the space, and then we won't try to do anything right here because that's too complicated. But what do you think? I think that's going to look cute, right? It's kind of feathery, but it's also, this is a circle on the top or a half circle. So it's going to have the same kind of ideas. So Wendy just asked, let me grab my little marking box real quick. I really, really like this is the purple air erase. Both of these are. These are both, this is both by Dritz. These are two different Dritz products. I actually have this one for sale on my Fabricated Quilts website. This one is a little finer mark, right? So I do think I have these also. I'll have to look. I am not using double batting, and Satterwhite asked me that. This one is just a wall hanging, so I didn't want something that was super heavy. The batting that I have is pretty big. I mean, it's pretty lofty. It's not super skinny, right? And it's white. It's a white batting. I think this is warm and white, if I remember correctly. And the reason I chose that then is that hopefully it's not going to show too much underneath. Let me just show you one thing that's kind of a problem, right? I don't know if you can see. There's like little purple threads under there, right there. Can you see that? So anytime you're working with colored fabric, that's something you kind of want to check into. I would have probably wanted to undercut that a little bit and trim those off, and I didn't. So now I'm going to have to live with the purple hanging out. I don't care. It's fine. I'm just going with it. But that's something to check. You know, if you're working and you don't want that, you want to trim all those little things off, and maybe even just use, like right on the edge of that, a little piece of the Roxanne glue based, and just run your finger along the seam to keep all those little guys from fraying out. All right. I think on this, you'll really be able to see this thread better. So what we'll do is we'll sew out to this edge, and then I'll come back around right here and ditch this bottom, and then we'll do this and we'll come back around. I think that'll work good. What do you think? I think that'll work. We'll see what happens, right? It's always something. Get my bobbin thread up. And if somebody's asking, I have a Wonderfill white bobbin, which is Deco Bob. So the size of that thread is much finer. It's 80 weight. Okay, so here we go. Tacking a little bit. Curl, and I'm going to kind of come around and just smoothly come back. Stretch that out a little bit. And we'll just try to fill that one in as best we can. Okay, so to get back to the center, I'll get my straight ruler. We'll do it in the back here so you can see. I want to make sure I'm right in the ditch. So I'm in the purple, and then just going to slowly sew right along my ditch right there. It's more about accuracy when we're going this slow. We're looking to really position where we want to. Okay, move those threads over to the other side. Stretch it a little bit to get to the next one. Okay, so as we go around this, I would go ahead and ditch this at this same time. Okay, so let's see, we'll close it around the bottom. Let's go this way. Okay, and right here, let's go ahead and ditch that. I'm going to use this side just so I can be closer to the ditch. The ditch is in the purple, and we have a very light colored thread, so I want to try and get as close to the ditch as I can. That'll hide it better. As I'm going along right here, I can use my fingernail and adjust my seam just slightly as I'm going, just to make sure that I'm right close to that edge. Okay. And if I go off, usually you can hear the difference. So in terms of practicality and movement, I could fit this whole design in right now. This is a good place because I'm right there, and this just echoes out from this. And it ends on this side, and I could ditch back, and I could sew the bottom and get back to where I want to for that next unit. So let's see, how are we doing for time? Oh, we're right about 10:30. So what do you think? We're going to stop today. We actually did quite a few different designs, and my plan will be to kind of work on this, right? So we've got the segmenting of this larger equilateral triangle, and it's made up of 4 equal triangles. And we did the frame, and we did the feather, and we showed the continuous path for that. And then we did this inner with this echo. And then I felt like that was too much open right there, so I narrowed it out a little bit. And we put a fill in it. And then we talked about this. We're going to do straight line echoing around here to set off this center triangle. And then we're going to do fill, and then just some straight lines, and then fill, and then a little arc around here, just like we did over here, but maybe not doubled up because this is a lot smaller. So we'll just go from corner to corner and put a little fill in there. Okay, so that's about all we have for today. We're trying to keep fun and fancy. I know sometimes I go long, I know I do, but we're trying to keep it to about 30 minutes. So if that helps you kind of think about how you can segment your designs and how you can connect one design space to another design space, that was really the goal of today. And we'll continue working on that and adding to this design. The other one that we still have to add to and to finish up is the Baptist fan fills, alternating fills. So those are the 2 pieces I'm going to be working on for Freemotion Fridays for the next couple of weeks. Remember that next week I'm traveling, so there will no Freemotion Fridays available next week. Okay? All right. Have a great week, you guys. Happy quilting.